Again, good afternoon. My name is Mariana Hernandez. I'm the Assistant Program Manager of Workforce Development here at LA County's Economic Development Corporation. And today you're joining us for Careers in Creative Design in partnership with CannonDesign. So we'll go ahead and introduce my colleague, Jose Pelayo, who's also on the call. Our Senior Director is not on the call, but his name is Jermaine Hampton. And these webinars are brought about through a partnership that we have with the community colleges, where we highlight different types of careers for your awareness and internship or employment opportunities. We also host a series of different events such as regional program advisories, work-based learning opportunities, and we also have a workforce and education partner portal found on the link on your screen. This is being recorded, so we'll share the recording as well as the slide deck after our meeting, but that is going to be shared post-meeting. Also, we have a feedback poll. You'll be asked a series of questions, and this will be at the end of the presentation. So now I'll go ahead and hand it over to our partners from CannonDesign. Amy, Craig, and Jenny are also on the call.
Hello, let me just get this going here. Okay. Jenny, would you like to start?
Yes, of course. So good afternoon, everyone. We're super excited to be here to tell you a little bit about who we are, our career path, what we do, and some exciting things about the profession in design and architecture.
Sorry.
Is there a lag?
There we are.
Okay, so hi, I'm Amy Hellman. I can't see anybody since I'm sharing my screen, but I trust you're all out there. And I am a client, pardon? I'm a client leader and architect with CannonDesign.
And I'm Craig Hamilton, also an architect with CannonDesign. I've been around a little longer than Amy and Jenny, but we've all been working together on mostly higher education buildings and a lot of community college work and a lot of work for other public, the CSUs and UC in California. So we're excited to share that.
Jenny, are you still there?
You're muted, Jenny.
Yes. So I would like to start by saying, I think we all need inspiration in our lives to guide us, something like a North Star. And this is something that is really close to my heart, and I'm hoping that resonates with many of you. And it's that you cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world. And what you do makes a difference. So we all need to decide every day what kind of difference we want to make. And as Amy shared, we are going to talk about our paths. I was born and raised in Mérida, Yucatán, Mexico, many years ago. And I went to school there, to Universidad Autónoma de Yucatán. And there is an image of I also practice architecture in Mexico. I'm licensed architect in Mexico, and worked for a firm a number of years before coming to the US. And the next image that you see here is a sports arena. It's a sports arena that we designed and constructed for some Olympics, the Special Olympics there. So that's just to give you a background of where I'm coming from. Fast forward, I arrived, landed at CannonDesign, and this is a little bit of history of the firm. CannonDesign dates back from 1915, actually, where Will Cannon Sr. started his firm, integrated architecture firm, with his two sons. And it was founded in New York State. We currently, we grew from being 3 people as originally conceived by Will Cannon. Now we grew to have 19 offices, and 19 offices across the nation, also in Canada and India. And it just, we're around 1,100, 1,200 people at the moment. We offer CannonDesign traditional services, which is what we call traditional services: environmental graphics, sustainability, workplace strategy, lighting design. We have engineering as well. We do, Craig, Amy, and I are focused on higher education. We also offer healthcare design, et cetera, et cetera. But we're entrepreneurs here, and we also always trying to figure out what's the next thing. And in this next slide, you see that we have 3 other arms. We have modular design, which, you know, we have actually a factory in Texas that does modular design and builds modular parts of a project. And we do facilities optimization, and we also have a consulting arm that is the Blue Cottage of CannonDesign. And the reason we do this is just so to try to solve our clients' greatest challenges and to provide solutions for people, business, community, environment, and society. It's holistic. It's a holistic approach, and it's what at CannonDesign we call living center design. Sorry, there's a lag in a way.
Sorry.
We call this is living center design, and it's really our approach. It's an approach that unites our clients and expert teams in creating impact and custom design solutions that do more for the client. It's not just designing a building. And the way we go about it is by using empathy, diversity, creativity, because without all of those, we can't really do much. It's really, we use empathy because innovative design cannot occur unless we put ourselves in other shoes. We have a diversity of teams with different skills, expertise, and from different life experiences that also provide richness to what we do. And it's not just about form, like this slide says. It's really about life. And even though we do have immense talent and we have impressive projects that look like are form driven, it's really about life. It's really to the people who learn, heal, live, work, and experience joy and in the spaces that we create. This is what is really important for us, for CannonDesign, and what we offer to the clients and anyone that that touches our projects. So my why, right? I love education. I believe that this is how we can fight the world and fight hunger and fight all the problems that we have in the world. And I started my focus from the last 16 years. I've been focused on helping higher education clients transform their campuses, providing spaces that will help students thrive. I work with incredibly talented people like Amy and Craig and many others that are experts with deep knowledge in student life, science, education, and healthcare. So now I'm going to take you through a series of slides to tell you how we do, how we approach our work at CannonDesign. Sorry.
I've got it on the engagement piece.
Okay, thank you, Amy. So we start with engaging our students, faculty, facilities, maintenance, and the community in our design process. So we meet with them, we have a series of workshops, we gather information, so we involve everyone that has to do it, is gonna have a piece in the project, right? So we use, and just maybe this is interesting for you all, we use, our designers use a combination of digital and physical models to develop multiple options and to get reactions from the client. And then they receive feedback from them when it comes to shapes or siding or textures. So we use all these different, we use Rhino, Revit. I don't know if you teach that, and this is taught in your schools, but in case, it's important to know. We use Rhino, Revit, Grasshopper, and Safaria to analyze energy efficiency in the skins. For example, this slide that you see, the previous one is using Safaria to analyze what's on the skin and how the heat, there's heat gain in the skin and how that's going to affect energy, and also natural lighting in the building. This we use this to actually, the client selected an option, the option that had less heat gain in the project. So it's just an example. And on the right hand side, you can see in this case, on the left hand side, you can see the model, the physical model we built to continue to explore the ideas with the client. This model is half made with the base, and the existing buildings you see in color brown they're made with wood, and there's, they laser cut, and in the white volumes are made with a 3D printer. So thank you, Amy. So, and this other slides is part of the process we go through when we are developing a project. This is Santa Monica Community College. It's the Math and Science building. And Craig and I won this project back in 2017, and it's currently under construction. So this is just a floor plan, just to show you, it's an idea of what we do in our office, right? And you can click to the next, yeah. This is a little more, it's a second floor of the same project. It has classrooms, laboratories, offices, and there is a planetarium. I forgot to mention, I was so hung up on the technology. The circle that you see at the bottom is actually a planetarium, and it's a very cool design, and very proud of. We're working on it. Next. These are some images of the exterior renders that were created. So the circle that you saw on the plan is this circular and kind of truncated thing on the right hand side is the planetarium, and this rendering is done in-house and is done with V-Ray. Again, trying to figure out if this resonates with any of you. Next. And this is the view from the side where that faces the campus, and it's just the same. We're using channel glass. The whitish thing you see is channel glass and metal panel at the bottom. And next is the view from interior courtyard. And what you see at the top is actually an observatory. You know, there's this stair that takes you all the way up, and it's really sculpture shape that was created. And you're gonna see later at the end of this, you're gonna see the image of where we currently are and the process. Yes. So these are the images of the construction, and this circular thing that you saw in the rendering is being framed right now and built. This is the most exciting part of what we do. So just wanted to show you sort of quickly the process that we take to get to an actual finished product. This project you see on the screen is at UC Riverside, and it's built. That's why I'm showing you. I show you the process, and then something that is already finished. And it is a project that we worked on and finished, completed in 2015, I believe. It's an expansion and a renovation of an existing project. And what I really like about this, and it's just going to be several images, the original project, we CannonDesign, of course, I wasn't even born in 1992, but that's when it was designed and built by CannonDesign. And the client wanted to work with us so much that, you know, liked the work we did, that they call us back to work on their expansion and the renovation of this building. And if you see the next slide, it has several components. This is one of really exciting projects. It has an indoor running track. It has an interior forecourt gym. It has weightlifting. It has a rock climbing wall, and the skin that you see on the right hand side was actually designed to follow the sun path, and it shades the interior depending on where how the sun moves, and that was part of our sustainability approach to this project. The next slide, it shows you the existing, what it was like in 1992, which is very 1992, and this one is the actual finished expansion. You can't really tell where the old and the new join, so we're pretty proud of that. This is the jogging track, which is combined with some other exercise spaces you can see on the back, the rock climbing wall. So these rec centers are very open spaces, and they're supposed to be vibrant and you know, bring out energy to everyone that uses them. Next.
Wow, great. Those are beautiful projects. So I'm going to talk just briefly about my journey, and I'm going to take a different approach so that you can get a wide view of what the career of architecture might be. But as Jenny very well put it, everyone needs a North Star, and that North Star can move every now and again as you move through your life and your career. And where I am right now really speaks to this quote here is, for me, it's about community. It's about, I can't succeed unless the community's behind me to uplift me, and vice versa. And whatever I do, I want to make sure that I'm leaving a positive imprint, and, forwarding the aspirations and needs of others is really important to me. So Jenny had such a beautiful picture. I wanted to put a truck with a big old potato on it because I'm from the state of Idaho, but I thought that may be too campy. I was born and raised in Idaho. I went to the University of Idaho. They had a 5-year Bachelor of Architecture degree, and then I tagged on a 2-year art minor. And so, you know, there's different pathways to becoming an architect. That is one way. There's also a master's degree program that may take a year or two longer. I needed to get out and start making money, but that was just my own path. So after I graduated and did an internship, at that point, I needed 2 years of internship before I was allowed to take exams. I worked for other companies, and I'm not going to hide, you know, and just broad brush, everything's beautiful in architecture. My very first job was for $5 an hour as a receptionist. And this is because we were in an economic downturn and no one was hiring. So, you know, just be aware that this profession is dependent on the ups and downs of the economy, but it is so diverse, you can easily move into other spaces, and the skills you learn are useful in most any space. Once I had my degree or my license, I then opened up my own architectural firm, and I partnered with a developer in downtown Boise. What I love about architecture is getting to know the history of your community, of the buildings, and of the people that you're serving in the projects. So a couple things to note here to give you an idea is this top project, this ugly little building here, was actually over 100 years old. It's right on the primary main street of Boise, Idaho, as a feature building at that time. My developer client had sort of fallen in love with this gem and noble building, is what it's called, and purchased it for rehabilitation and adaptation into other uses. So we went inside of it where pigeons were living and other things were living, and there was a fire in there apparently, and really gutted the whole space. What we found upon entering it is this building was actually an old brothel. So again, you get to learn so much about your history, the history of where these buildings are. We adapted this building into high-end living units on the top floor and retail on the bottom. So one of the wonderful things about architecture is I had a client just a year ago from this project. This project was probably 20 years ago, get back in contact with me and, you know, remembered me as their architect to put their restaurant in there, and asked me for some plans, and we got to reconnect. Likewise, you know, a resident on the upper floor sent a letter to the developer about how nice it is. So you get this wonderful positive feedback. The lower project here really sparked my career in sustainability. This was before 2000, and it was the first LEED Platinum commercial office building in the United States. And a whole host of stories that we don't have time for, but if you want to look, there's a documentary that was made about this building from an Oscar award-winning director, Ben Shed, who did the Gossamer Condor for Nova. He took interest in this building, did a documentary, and it's called Green is the Color of Money. And it is a capitalistic view on why sustainability is good business and actually puts money back in the owner's pocket. Very interesting. So from there, another economic downturn happened. And one thing you need to do if you open your own business is make sure you diversify. I had 2 clients and they were both developers. So I needed work. I came to connections I had in California and started work for a firm who is well known in education work. And that is where I really found my passion. I have several projects, but the one I want to share with you with the time that we have is one in Pittsburgh. It's at Carnegie Mellon University, and it's a business school. Now, one of the things I love about architecture is the fact that I get to travel all over the country, if not the world, for my job. I have been to almost, not quite, every state purely because of my job, whether it's going to project sites, client meetings, you know, conferences, you name it, there's always opportunity for travel. And for me, that's really important. So another aspect of architecture is really understanding and managing not only your clients and your team and the design, but also the budget. And so sometimes you're lucky and you have a project like this with a beautiful budget and a donor client. Sometimes you have something more difficult, but regardless if you have a large donor client, you still have to maintain and steward the budget and fee. This building here, I'm going to touch on just two aspects on this slide and then move on. But as you think about impacting community, if you think about who's using the building and how they use it, these are the things we take into the work we do and push out into the design. So for example, Pittsburgh gets 90 to 80 days of clear skies a year at most. So daylight, views, sunshine are incredibly important to them there. It's usually a very rainy space. So knowing this, we created indoor-outdoor spaces and utilized high efficiency glass to be able to always create a space where people had connection to the outdoors and daylights and views. So you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, sort of this jewel box that's connected by two wings. You can't see one of them. The other one is brick. They're both brick. Another aspect of the job of architecture is you really get your hands into materiality. Looking at the brick, I went to Belden Brick in Pittsburgh. We got two of their old kilns offline that were offline back online to create these artisan long bricks of certain color. You also get into textures and how you can break up forms to make sure that the massing isn't too big and it's comfortable at a human scale. Inside the building, however, when you have a multi-story building, you still want the ability for students to be able to engage and connect, happenstancely or not. So how we approach this is by creating voids in the volume in between the different floor levels so that people can see and be seen. So rather than getting in a building where you never know who's below you, you don't see them, you don't interact with them, we are able to use this little design move to be able to create engagement. Another aspect, and this goes back to balancing your budget, is when you have a building of this size, it's 315,000 square feet building. That is a big building. The floor slabs are 15 inches thick. So now we're getting into the engineering aspect of architecture. That is a very heavy building. And you can imagine the load of that building going into the ground needs substantial foundation work. So now you're taking all this money, the project budget, and you're burying it below ground. Well, as a student or as an owner or somebody using the building, you want to use that money where people experience it into these nice, beautiful spaces. So you're always trying to look for, innovative ways in order to, balance the budget in a way that people can experience it the most. What you're looking at here, these colors, are plastic bubbles the size of a soccer ball. And what they do is they sit in the middle of this 15-inch slab so that you still get the structural qualities with rebar and concrete on the top and bottom. If you think of a wide flange beam, it acts like that. The least valuable structural space in a slab is the very center of it. So this creates a hollow void in the center. And so that lightens the entire building. And now you don't need all the foundation work, all the concrete below grade that you would have otherwise. So fun fact, what the colors mean is that that is the color of the kayak that was coming through the line at the time they made the clippings. So these are all just plastic, recycled plastic clippings from kayaks that they formed into these balls, and then they reused them in the construction industry for this form. Last slide is really about art, creating spaces that are flexible and dynamic so they can be used in multiple ways. If you can Imagine yourself as this gentleman coming down the stairs into what is actually a graduate commons space, but they're also putting art installation in there, the vibrancy and energy that people get to experience in this space.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Detroit and really experienced life in a post-World War II Rust Belt city, but one that had a rich tradition of the automobile industry and innovation, as well as arts through places like Cranbrook Academy of Art. And my parents were school teachers, and I didn't really know anybody who was an architect, but I liked to draw. I liked art. I also liked math and science. And going to architecture school is kind of, I didn't know what I was going to do with it other than this idea of an architect. But it has been an opportunity to kind of meld those things together. And I think as someone who came from a public education, and from parents who were teachers, being able to work in higher education on college projects, university projects has been really rewarding because it's a different way of helping educate people. And I think education is one of the ways that our culture and our society moves forward. I was also probably 20 years into my career, able to take a sort of 3-month sabbatical and work in Germany. And it exposed me to a different way of working, but also outside of US culture, where the public buildings and public spaces in Europe, I think we're more valued than they are in this country. And sometimes we put too much emphasis on the private realm. And so I've really enjoyed being able to work in public education. And I'm going to show you just a couple of projects that we've worked on. Oh, and then out of that is simply, I've really valued place, and I've learned from it. I've learned from what's happened with the decline of the Midwest and manufacturing, but also living for more than 25 years in Los Angeles, both the vibrancy of it and the challenges that we have. And so there is my little bit as an architect. I like to think we're helping, but the challenges are big, and so are the opportunities. And it's really why we need people to want to participate in the profession in whatever way they can. This is a project we did at the University of Utah, and you can click through these pretty quickly, Amy.
Okay.
They wanted to create an innovative student entrepreneur center. They found students who were entrepreneurial weren't staying in school. They had a program, but they didn't have a place for it. They saw it as a student hub that connected students from a variety of backgrounds and a variety of academic programs into a place where they could learn how to create companies. And that program, although it's at the University of Utah, had developed over time to start with students in middle school in the Salt Lake area, high school, as well as college students, but they didn't have a home. And our role was to try to figure out how to make a home for this and provide 400 beds for student housing. And what does that look like? What is a live-work place like? And we came up with different ideas. We ended up with a whole thought about it because of the challenges of where you put this, that really we were creating a new building type. And that new building type was a resource for the campus. And as a resource, it really should go at the center of campus where it's most accessible to the most number of students. The end project, it's a 5-story building. The ground floor is all shared open entrepreneurial space. They serve about 5,000 students a year from the campus. The upper floors have a core entrepreneurial space, but 400 students are able to live in them. The spaces have a variety of things for making, taking time out and eating, and a variety of student housing, including for upper class or graduate students, kind of sleeping pods where you have a smaller space. And the benefit is you get this big shared space that's in the center where you can work and collaborate and do shared activities with other people. And the view of that is to the Great Salt Lake. What's really exciting about the project is when we can participate and help a client accomplish something. And the next slide shows just the growth of these student startup teams that have come out of the Lassonde studio. We opened in 2017, and it's important because these things lead to economic development for Salt Lake City and Utah and the community. Another project, and this is a little bit to talk both about patience and impact. Ohlone College is in Northern California. It's a California community college. We had an almost 10-year journey working with them to create a series of buildings that replace the academic core of their campus. The campus had a beautiful kind of quirky Italian hill town set of buildings that were done in the early 1970s. They weren't accessible by ADA standards, but they weren't accessible to regular students either. Nobody wanted to have a class at the bottom of the campus and then have to trek up to the top of the campus to take another class. So our solution was to reorient the buildings to run across that hillside slope and through stairs and one major elevator core, connect all of those levels and make it easy for students to move through the campus, but also to connect different programs in the building. This has arts, science, general education, the library, the learning center. So it really is the kind of academic heart of the community college. And you can see in these drawings show section as you slice through the building as if it were a piece of cake, that it is organized to step up the hill, giving and taking advantage of the outdoor spaces as you move up through the project from the bottom to the top. It's got wonderful views of the San Francisco Bay. It has a lot of outdoor spaces related to programs, places where you can slide down handrails if you're not on your skateboard, music studios. And again, it's part of that whole community college experience of people figuring out what they want to do, but also supporting them as they look for programs that will lead to jobs in the community or opportunities to transfer to University of California or Cal State campus. And it was important to us that there were plenty of places for student collaboration and interaction and access to daylight and views. And it's a really gratifying sort of thing to be able to work on that kind of project where it really has an impact in the community and to play a little part of that.
All right, so before we wrap up here and open it for you questions and answers, there are two other things I wanted to share with you. This is another type of project that we do. This is a multidisciplinary hub for sport, health, science, wellness, and entrepreneurial education. And this project converted the historic Field House basketball arena and to a football, indoor football facility. And even though CannonDesign is so huge with 1,200 people, there is opportunities to do stuff like this. And what you see on the bottom right corner is part of our graphics group. They design these things, these graphics, just to pump up the athletes in the university. And the last project I want to close out with is we actually worked in transforming the inside of a bus to convert into a mobile museum. So this is the museum in partnership with the Museum of Tolerance. We created this fantastic, I guess, exhibition that is a digital exhibition that goes is traveling through the country to bring this knowledge to everyone. And so is the museum getting to people, and it's a very fun project to work on. And again, just to give you an idea of how diverse our profession is, and you can be like Amy, who can do it all. Craig is a fantastic planner, fantastic, and I am more focused on the business side of the profession. So there is an opportunity for anyone with any talent. And with that, I'm just,
yeah, I was going to say, it's really a team sport. It's not
it is
about
a team sport.
the individual.
That's the fascinating thing. Yes.
Play well with others.
Thank you so much, Amy, Jenny, and Craig. I myself have learned a lot about what architecture is and just the fun aspects about it. Amy, I know you mentioned the traveling, and I think that's something that would call many people's attention to an opportunity such as that would allow you to travel almost to all 50 states in the country and internationally as well. So thank you so much, each of you, for sharing a little bit about why you started off into this industry and the projects that you all have worked on, especially the one so close by. I know Joanne King, who's on the call, she's from SMC. So I know you mentioned that project. That's awesome work that you guys have done in our region itself. So thank you again for sharing. And I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll for the students just to get your feedback. And while we have you all answering the questions on your screen, I'd like to also open it up to any questions that you might have. If you feel comfortable unmuting or turning your camera on, please go ahead and do so and ask your questions. If you prefer that we ask them, you can enter them in the chat. And we can go ahead and read them off. So while you guys brainstorm your questions, there actually was one earlier about any internship opportunities at CannonDesign. Are there ever any intern openings that you guys have, whether it be for architecture students or students in other majors such as business, or I know someone also was earlier mentioning they're in a paralegal program?
We do have internship in generally open. We hire it depends on the workload every year, but we hire interns starting actually in next month, May or June, and for the entire summer. Some of them stay with us on a part-time basis until they graduate. And yeah, we do this every year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We have a question. Marilyn, would you like to unmute?
Hello. I was wondering, do you guys allow people who are studying web development to become a part of your internships?
Really excellent question.
It's a good question.
We need really good developers in graphics, in modeling, all of that. So maybe Jenny or Craig, because they're longer with the company, it seems like something we can look at.
I think what we're finding, and it's an interesting question that I'm not going to be completely able to answer, but that what we call our digital practice is a bigger and bigger part of what we do. And we have a group of people who are really focused on the technology and the application of it in support of architecture and engineering. And not all of them are architects. They come from a variety of backgrounds. And so there are those opportunities. Our website has job openings. We've also found, both because we're across the country, but coming out of the pandemic, we tend to hire people where they have a skill set that's helpful to us, regardless of where they happen to sleep at night. So, but we have those resources in the firm. The three of us aren't directly focused on that, but it's that sort of diversity of people who work for us by their skills is getting bigger and bigger as we try to keep up with where the world of design and construction is going.
Right, thank you. And so to learn more about these internship opportunities, are they also listed in the career page, or is there a specific contact that they can reach?
The opportunities that are open now are listed on the career page for sure. But you can always reach out to any of us with specific questions we can help you with.
Thank you, Jenny. And Drumel, you have a question. You can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, everyone. As Amy said, there are some opportunities like internship. Do we notify if there are openings, or we just keep looking on the website?
Yeah, my experience is that you need to keep looking at different companies' websites. They don't do the reverse where they notify you. There's not a platform where you can sign up for any notifications of new projects, if that's what you're asking, or new job openings, I should say. But the other places you can go, that's a broad brush, is the American Institute of Architects, which is our professional organization. They do have a job board there from all the different companies that might, like if CannonDesign is looking for a project architect or something like that, they will often post it with the American Institute of Architects. And that's where you can see what everybody is hiring for.
Thank you so much, Amy. Are there any other questions? I know we still have about 10 more minutes, so if you'd like to unmute, you can go ahead and do so.
In the meantime, I guess, oh, I'm sorry, unless somebody spoke up.
No, go ahead, Amy, thank you.
You know, some things I wanted to share that I didn't believe I'd have time for is the profession is so vast now with specialties. I mean, we did not present to you all. There's healthcare specialists within our profession. There's science and technology. Just if you think about the photography that we showed you today, there's a whole specialty of architectural photography that you can get into. As Jenny said, oh, go ahead, Jen.
A photographer, an in-house photographer, just adding to what you're saying, Amy. It's like we have in-house nurses to help us design hospitals and medical buildings.
Right. So everything really is touched by this field, whether it's, you know, the architectural and design side or the engineering, the wayfinding and graphics, somebody has to design that. And there's some really fun projects and large scale graphics that Jenny had shown you. But even I got to at Carnegie Mellon, there's this big sign and we thought, what do we do with this wall? Well, we need a sign. So, you know, out of paper and scissors, we mocked up a sign on the side of this wall and designed how it would work and had it commissioned and installed. And so it's a very hands-on, you're limited only by your imagination.
And the budget.
Yeah, well, and there's that too. But that's only a lack of imagination.
Thank you so much, Amy. So
Yeah.
I think that's very important. And you mentioned this earlier in the webinar as well about the transferable skills that you gain through this profession. I think is crucial for them to understand, for the students to know that regardless of what their major is now, there are opportunities that might not be, might not come to mind at first. So thank you for sharing that. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I know a couple of students have left, but thank you all for joining. I'll do one last, Marilyn, go ahead and ask your question.
I was wondering, you guys do offer internships that involves a lot on architecture. For someone that is not very hasn't taken a class in architecture, do you guys allow anyone to join in or to take at least a single class to learn on the internship?
Not so much on the internship side, because those are reserved for people who've already decided that this is a profession they want to step into. However, the way I got started was in high school, and I had a love for both engineering and art. And so one of my extra elective classes, I took drafting. And that's kind of what started me down the pathway of, okay, maybe there's something here. You can do the same within the colleges or, the community colleges and whatever. So I would talk to a counselor about what those opportunities might be, or you can even outreach to any of us. I love talking with you all and just kind of help you find your way into what you might be interested in.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was going to mention, and we do some work with the student group at Cal Poly Pomona, National Organization of Minority Students. It's actually the largest chapter in the country, but architecture requires a degree. All of you, if you're in community college, is a great place to start, to work through, to go to those places. But as you do that, I'd encourage you to be parts of those student organizations, because you can share your experience. We're trying to reach out to them. And this isn't always for internships, it's opportunities for them to come to our office, to demystify what architecture is about, to get an understanding. And we have one kind of practice. There is so much creativity going on in greater LA. It's an amazing creative center for architecture, from small practices that are one or two people up to large ones that are like ours or even larger. So it's there are many ways to forge a career in it. And we're finding, like other firms, that we need talent, because we lose, whoever was talking about web design, we lose architecture students to go work for technology or entertainment companies building virtual environments instead of working with us on real environments. So it's
robotics.
Yeah, or robotics, or all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And so I'll do one last call. We have 4 more minutes left. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and unmute or raise your hand.
I just put into the chat my contact, my email. If you do, think this is something you're interested or want to learn more about, feel free to reach out to me, and I can get back to you or others.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing your email and opening up your space for these students. I'll also be sharing your contact email, if that's okay, in my follow-up.
Yeah.
to these students. Since they've registered, I have their email, and I can go ahead and email you all the link to the recording and the email for Amy, Jenny, and our Craig. So thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Jenny and Craig, so much for sharing such great insight with these students. We've learned a lot today, and we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to them. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Completely
Thank you,
enjoyed it.
Mariana.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Great.
day.
Thank you. Bye.